Being liked is overrated. Think about it. How many people do you know who are liked by everyone, but nobody really takes them seriously? They're fun to be around, easy to talk to, maybe even charming, but at the end of the day they fade into the background, because being liked is about comfort, and comfort never makes an impact. It's nice, sure, but nice doesn't change anything. Nice doesn't win battles. Nice doesn't earn trust when things get tough. Nice is replaceable. Respect, on the other hand, is unforgettable. When someone respects you, it's not because you made them laugh once or agreed with them all the time. It's because you stood your ground. You showed strength. You lived by a standard that others couldn't ignore. Respect demands presence, and presence creates power. And here's the uncomfortable truth. People may not always like the person they respect. In fact, sometimes respect comes wrapped in discomfort, even in fear. But that's exactly why it lasts longer than being liked ever will. Think about the leaders, mentors, or even people in your own life who left the biggest mark. Were they always the most likable? Probably not. But you remembered them, didn't you? You remembered how they made you step up, how they forced you to see yourself differently. That's the dark power of respect. It cuts deeper than charm, and it stays long after the moment has passed. So ask yourself, do you want to be liked by everyone and forgotten by most? Or do you want to be respected, even if it means not everyone smiles at your presence? Because at the end of the day, liked people disappear, but respected people are impossible to erase. Like versus respect, being liked and being respected might sound similar, but they come from completely different places. Being liked is about comfort. It's about making people feel good, agreeing with them, keeping the peace, and avoiding conflict. When someone likes you, it usually means you don't threaten their sense of self. You're easy to be around. You don't challenge them, and you make them feel at ease. And while that sounds pleasant, the truth is it rarely builds depth. Liking someone is often shallow, fragile, and easily replaced. If tomorrow you stop giving them what they want, their liking for you can vanish in seconds. Respect, however, is about value. It's not about how comfortable you make people feel, but about how much they recognize your strengths, your boundaries, and your consistency. Respect is earned through your actions, not your ability to please. It comes when people see that you're not willing to bend just to gain approval. Respect isn't given lightly, and once it's there, it doesn't disappear as easily as likability does. Someone may not personally enjoy you, but if they respect you, they won't dismiss you. They'll think twice before crossing you, and they'll remember your presence even when you're not around. Think about it like this. Being liked gets you an invitation to the party, but being respected makes you the reason the party even matters. Likability is fragile. It depends on mood, timing, and people's shifting feelings. Respect is solid. It's grounded in how people perceive your worth and the way you carry yourself. One is temporary, the other is lasting. The danger is that too many people chase being liked. They water themselves down, soften their edges, and hide their truths just to avoid upsetting anyone. But in the process, they lose the very qualities that would have earned them respect. People may smile in their face, but deep down, they don't take them seriously. The reality is this: being liked makes people comfortable with you. Being respected makes people value you. And when it comes to building a life of influence, power, or even healthy relationships, value always wins over comfort. Would you rather be remembered as pleasant or unforgettable? The trap of being liked, the need to be liked, feels harmless at first. Who doesn't want people to smile when they walk into a room? Who doesn't enjoy being told they're easy to get along with? But here's the trap. The more you chase approval, the more you lose yourself. You start making decisions not because they're right for you, but because they'll keep others happy. Slowly you trade authenticity for acceptance, and that trade never works in your favor. When you live for approval, you end up bending to everyone else's expectations. You say yes when you want to say no. You agree with things that don't sit right in your gut. You let people cross boundaries just so they'll keep liking you. At first it feels like you're keeping the peace, but what's really happening is that you're training others to see you as weak, and once they see you as weak, they stop respecting you altogether. Being liked is fleeting, it's shallow, conditional, and disappears the moment you stop feeding it. People who are obsessed with being liked are often the ones who get forgotten the quickest, because they never stand out. They never take a position, they never say or do anything that risks offending anyone. And in trying so hard to be everyone's favorite, they end up being no one's priority. Worse, constantly seeking approval makes you easy to manipulate. People catch on fast when they see that your biggest fear is disapproval. They know that all they have to do is frown, criticize, or threaten to withdraw their affection, and you'll fold. You become predictable, pliable, and powerless. And the painful truth is, the people who like you only because you give them what they want, don't really like you at all. They like the version of you that serves their needs. That's the trap of being liked. It feels safe, but it's the fastest road to being invisible, used, and forgotten. Because no matter how hard you try, you will never be liked by everyone, and even if you were, it wouldn't give you the strength, influence, or respect that actually matters. Approval might get you attention, but it will never give you power. Why respect feels darker? Respect doesn't always feel warm, and that's why so many people shy away from it. It isn't built on making others comfortable, it's built on showing strengths, holding your ground, and drawing clear boundaries. And here's the thing, boundaries don't always make people happy. In fact, they often make others feel frustrated, challenged, or even intimidated. That's why respect carries a darker edge. It forces people to recognize your worth, even if they don't like the way it makes them feel. Think about when you've respected someone deeply. Was it because they always said yes, or because they had the courage to say no? Was it because they gave you everything you wanted, or because they made you earn it? True respect usually comes with a sense of weight, an awareness that this person won't bend easily, that they stand for something bigger than approval. That weight is uncomfortable for others, but it's exactly what makes it powerful. Respect is darker, because it demands consequences. If someone disrespects your boundary, you don't just smile and let it slide, you respond. You make it clear that crossing the line has a cost, and while that might make others uneasy, it also leaves no doubt in their mind that you're not someone to take lightly. Liking someone is easy, respecting them requires effort. This is why people often like the agreeable ones, but respect the ones who make them rethink their actions. Sometimes respect even comes with a touch of fear, not the kind born from cruelty, but the kind that comes from knowing you can't be pushed around. That fear keeps people from testing your limits. It keeps them aware of your presence long after you've left the room. The darkness of respect lies in its honesty. It doesn't sugarcoat, it doesn't aim to please, it demands recognition. It forces people to confront your strengths, whether they want to or not. And while being liked might win you temporary affection, respect, dark, heavy, and sometimes uncomfortable, wins you something far more important, permanence. Because even if they don't smile when they think of you, they'll never forget you. Examples from real life. We've all met the person who everyone seems to like. They're friendly, always smiling, quick to agree, and never step on anyone's toes. People say things like, oh yeah, they're such a nice person, but notice what usually follows. Nothing. No stories of how this person inspired change, no moments where they stood their ground, no examples of them making a real impact. They're pleasant, but forgettable. People enjoy their presence, but they don't rely on them, they don't look up to them, and they don't take them seriously when it matters. This is the curse of being liked. You become background noise. Now compare that to someone respected. They may not be everyone's favorite, but when they speak, people stop and listen. Think of a teacher, boss or mentor you had who wasn't necessarily warm or easygoing, but you remember them because they demanded the best out of you. Maybe you didn't like them at the time, they made you uncomfortable, they held you accountable, they didn't let you coast. But years later, you look back and realize they were the ones who shaped you the most. That's the difference. Respect leaves a mark. Take it into the workplace. The nice colleague might be the one people invite to lunch, but when decisions are being made, their voice doesn't carry weight. They're liked but not trusted with responsibility. Meanwhile, the respected colleague might not be as popular in casual conversations, but they're the one called in when the stakes are high. Why? Because respect is built on competence, strengths, and reliability, not on likability. Even in friendships, this difference shows. The friend who always agrees with you might be easy to hang out with, but the friend who tells you the hard truths, who challenges your excuses, who pushes you to be better, that's the one you respect. You may get annoyed at them sometimes, but deep down you know they're valuable, in a way the nice friend never could be. That's a real-life contrast. Liked people make life lighter in the moment, but respected people shape it in the long run. One gives you comfort, the other gives you growth. And if you want to be remembered, you already know which side you need to be on. The power shift. Something incredible happens the moment you stop caring about being liked. You begin to command authority, without even trying. When you're no longer chasing smiles, approval, or validation, people feel it. They can sense that you're not bending yourself into shapes, just to keep them comfortable. And that shift is powerful, because authority doesn't come from how many people enjoy your presence, it comes from how many people recognize your strengths. Think about how draining it is to constantly monitor what others think. Every word, every action, every choice runs through the filter of will they like me for this? That's not living, that's begging, and people can feel that energy. The more desperate you are for approval, the less seriously they take you. But the second you let go of that need, your energy changes. Suddenly you don't need them, you choose them, and that subtle difference flips the dynamic completely. When you stop caring about being liked, you stop over-explaining yourself, you stop saying yes out of guilt, you stop shrinking your personality to fit someone else's comfort zone, and ironically, that's when people start noticing you more. Authority comes from clarity. People trust the ones who move with certainty, even if they don't agree with every decision. This doesn't mean being cruel or cold, it means being solid. It means standing on your own ground so firmly that others can't help but notice. At first some people might not like it. They'll say you've changed, or you're too direct, or you're harder to please. But over time, even those people will adjust, because deep down respect always outlasts irritation. The truth is, leaders aren't remembered because they were universally liked. They're remembered because they stood tall when it mattered. They made decisions without begging for applause. They lived by values instead of popularity contests. That's the essence of authority. And here's the secret. Authority doesn't need to be announced. It's felt. People may not always clap for you, but they'll think twice before dismissing you. That's the power shift. When you stop needing to be liked, you stop being invisible, and you start being unforgettable. Boundaries as the root of respect. At the core of respect lies one simple word. It's a word most people are afraid to use, yet it's the very thing that draws the line between being liked and being respected. When you say no, you risk upsetting people, you risk disappointing them, you risk not being liked in that moment. But that's exactly why it builds respect, because it shows you have limits, standards, and self-worth that you're not willing to compromise. People who can't say no are often the ones who get used the most. They become the yes person, always available, always accommodating, always bending. And while others might appreciate the convenience of having them around, deep down they don't value them. Why? Because someone who never sets boundaries communicates that their time, their energy, and even their identity aren't valuable enough to protect. On the other hand, the moment you stand your ground, everything changes. The friend who keeps pushing you to go along with something, the coworker who tries to dump extra work on you, the family member who expects endless favors, they may not like your refusal in that moment. In fact, they might even get upset. But beneath that initial irritation is something much more powerful: acknowledgement. They know you can't be taken for granted. They know you won't bend just because they want you to. And whether they admit it or not, they start respecting you. Boundaries act like invisible fences. They teach people how to treat you. Every time you enforce one, you're sending a message. This is my line, and I won't let you cross it. And while it may cost you some temporary approval, it buys you long-term respect. Because people don't truly admire those who always make them happy, they admire those who refuse to betray themselves. The truth is, respect doesn't always feel good in the moment. Saying no may sting, standing your ground may feel heavy, but later when people look back, they'll remember you as the one who had the courage to protect yourself. And that memory carries more weight than 100 empty smiles. Boundaries aren't walls, they're the roots of respect. Respect over popularity. Popularity feels good in the moment. It's intoxicating when people cheer for you, when your name is on everyone's lips, when you're surrounded by approval. But here's the problem: popularity is fragile. It's based on trends, moods, and convenience. The same crowd that lifts you up today can turn their back on you tomorrow. One mistake, one unpopular opinion, one refusal to play along, and suddenly, all that love disappears. Popularity isn't loyalty, it's temporary applause. Respect, however, endures. Respect doesn't depend on whether you gave people what they wanted in the moment. It's not about pleasing the crowd, it's about proving your worth, your strengths, and your consistency. Even people who don't like you can't erase their respect for you once it's been earned. That's why it has long-term power. Respect outlives moods. Respect outlives gossip. Respect outlives trends. Look at history, leadership, or even your personal life. Popular figures come and go. They shine brightly for a season, then fade into the background when the world moves on. But respected figures, those who stood firm, who held their boundaries, who lived by values bigger than themselves, they remain unforgettable. They may not have been loved by everyone, but they were trusted, remembered, and honored long after the noise faded. Popularity is built on the outside, on other people's feelings. Respect is built on the inside, on your choices, your standards, and your actions. One is given to you when you please people, the other is earned when you refuse to betray yourself. And here's the irony: when you chase popularity, you often lose respect. But when you pursue respect, popularity may follow in its own time, only this time, it's built on a foundation that can't be shaken. Being respected means people listen when you speak, even if they don't clap. It means your presence carries weight, even when you're not in the room. It means you're remembered, not for how many people liked you, but for the strength you embodied. Popularity fades like a passing trend, but respect plants roots that last a lifetime, and in the end, only one of those gives you real power. The fear factor respect often carries with it a subtle element of fear, and that isn't a negative thing, it's actually part of what makes respect so powerful. When people respect you deeply, there's usually a quiet awareness that you are not someone to be tested carelessly. That doesn't mean you're cruel, harsh, or intimidating for no reason. It simply means people recognize that you have limits, and crossing those limits has consequences. Think about it. The people who are liked but not respected are often the easiest to take advantage of. Nobody fears disappointing them because they know that person will forgive too quickly, bend too easily, or avoid confrontation altogether. But when someone respects you, there's a weight to your presence. They think twice before speaking recklessly to you. They pause before trying to push past your boundaries. That little bit of fear protects you, not because you inspire terror, but because you inspire caution. This kind of fear isn't about dominating others. It's about clarity. When you show people that your time, your energy, and your values are not up for negotiation, they begin to understand that you are not easily swayed. That understanding naturally creates a layer of respect mixed with hesitation. It's a reason people won't casually cross someone they know has standards. They may not always like those standards, but they recognize them. And recognition is the birthplace of respect. Even in leadership, the best leaders aren't always the most liked. In fact, many of them face criticism, resistance, and even dislike. But they're respected because their choices carry weight. People might not always agree, but they know the leader won't back down just to avoid conflict. And that strength makes people follow, even if it comes with discomfort. So yes, respect sometimes comes with a little fear, but that fear is not about people avoiding you. It's about people valuing you enough not to underestimate you. It keeps relationships balanced, boundaries clear, and authority intact. Being liked might make people smile at you, but being respected makes people think twice before they cross you. And that hesitation is a quiet kind of power. Respect in relationships. Respect is the glue that holds every kind of relationship together, friendship, work, or love. People often think liking someone is enough, but the truth is, liking without respect collapses faster than most realize. You can enjoy someone's company, laugh with them, even share good moments. But if deep down you don't respect them, that connection won't last when challenges appear. Take friendships, for example. We all have those fun friends we like being around, but when it comes to serious decisions or moments of crisis, they're not the ones we turn to. Why? Because we don't respect them enough to trust their judgment or lean on their strength. Contrast that with a friend who may not always be the most entertaining, but they're solid, reliable, and stand by their values. That's a friend you respect. That's a friend you keep in your life for decades. The same rule applies in the workplace. You might like a coworker because they're friendly, but liking alone doesn't get them promoted or trusted with responsibility. Respect is what makes people see them as a leader, someone whose word carries weight. Without it, they stay stuck in the background. No matter how many people enjoy their personality, and in love, respect is everything. You can fall in love with someone's looks, charm, or humor, but if there's no respect, the relationship will eventually break. A partner who doesn't respect you will talk over you, dismiss your feelings, cross your boundaries, or take you for granted. That's when the love begins to sour. But when respect is present, love deepens. Even during arguments or differences, respect ensures that both sides listen, compromise, and grow together instead of tearing each other down. Liking is about how someone makes you feel in the moment. Respect is about how someone holds their ground, treats you, and shows up consistently. One is temporary and emotional, the other is steady and enduring. That's why every strong, lasting relationship has respect at its core. Without it, all you have is surface-level connection. With it, you have a bond that can survive storms. In the end, being liked might start a relationship, but being respected is what keeps it alive. The dark secret. Here's the dark secret. Most people don't want to admit you don't need everyone to like you. In fact, chasing universal approval is the quickest way to become invisible. What you actually need is to leave such a strong impression that people never forget you. And that doesn't come from being agreeable. It comes from being undeniable. Think about it. The people you remember most in your life aren't always the ones who were the friendliest or easiest to get along with. Sometimes, they were the ones who challenged you, who held you accountable, who refused to let you play small. Maybe they weren't always likable in the moment, but they carved themselves into your memory because they stood for something bigger than comfort. That's the power of respect. It imprints itself on people in ways being liked never can. When you stop trying to be liked by everyone, you give yourself permission to be real, and realness has weight. Realness stays. Not everyone will enjoy it, but those who encounter it won't forget it. They'll remember the way you carried yourself, the way you refused to fold, the way you lived by standards that others couldn't ignore. Even your critics will talk about you, because whether they love you or not, they can't dismiss you. Being liked is about blending in. Being respected is about standing out, even if it makes some people uncomfortable. And here's the truth. Unforgettable people are rarely universally liked. They stir reactions, they leave impact, they don't fade into the background, because their presence demands recognition. So the dark secret is this: you don't need to fill a room with smiles directed at you. You just need to make sure that when you leave the room, people still feel your presence. You need them to remember your name, your energy, your standards. That's far more powerful than fleeting approval. Because liked people come and go with the tide, but respected people, those who dared to be remembered, leave footprints that never wash away. And that's a kind of legacy worth building. Liked people are replaceable. Respected people are unforgettable. Which one are you becoming? That's a real question you have to ask yourself. Because at the end of the day, being liked might win you a few smiles, a few temporary moments of comfort, but it won't give you the weight, the power, or the presence that respect does. Respect doesn't vanish when someone's mood changes. Respect doesn't disappear just because you stop pleasing everyone. Respect is earned once, and it echoes forever. Think about how you want to be remembered. Do you want people to say, "Yeah, they were nice," and then forget about you the moment someone else walks in? Or do you want them to carry your presence in their mind long after you've left the room? That's the difference between chasing approval and building respect. One fades like smoke, the other leaves a mark that can't be erased. And here's the truth: being respected doesn't always feel easy. It might mean being misunderstood, being judged, even being disliked at times. But if you're strong enough to hold that weight, you'll realize that the world bends to those who command respect, not those who beg for attention. So I'll ask you this directly: would you rather be liked, or would you rather be respected? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to see how many of you are ready to step into that darker, more powerful version of yourself. And if you're ready for more raw truths like this, make sure you hit subscribe, because the next video isn't just content, it's a perspective shift that might change how you see yourself forever.